You've been lied to. Your entire life, you've been fed the fairy tale that being the good guy is the path to respect, love, and success. But what if I told you that this is the very mindset that's sabotaging your life? What if the virtues you've been conditioned to uphold, kindness without boundaries, self-sacrifice without reward, endless forgiveness for those who exploit you, are the chains keeping you weak, overlooked, and powerless? The truth is, the world doesn't reward goodness. It rewards strength. It doesn't cherish the meek. It devours them. Think about it. When was the last time the nice guy finished first? When was the last time the person who always put others before themselves was truly respected, rather than just used? You've been sold a myth, and it's time to wake up before it's too late. The universe operates on power dynamics, not moral platitudes. And if you don't understand this, you'll spend your life being a stepping stone for those who do. Let's cut through the illusion. Being a good guy isn't noble. It's naive. You think your decency is a shield, but in reality, it's a target. People don't admire the endlessly accommodating. They exploit them. They don't reward the self-effacing. They ignore them. Look around you. The people who get ahead, the ones who command respect, who wield influence, who live on their own terms, are they the ones playing by the rules of fairness? Or are they the ones who understand the brutal truth that life is a game of leverage? You've been conditioned to believe that aggression is evil, that assertiveness is arrogance, that demanding what you deserve is selfish. But who benefits from that narrative? The answer is simple: those who don't want you to compete. The system wants you docile, compliant, and predictable. It doesn't want you to realize that power isn't given, it's taken. So ask yourself, are you living by principles designed to keep you in your place? Or are you ready to see the world for what it really is? The good guy syndrome is a trap, one that keeps you begging for scraps while others feast at the table of life. You've been taught that virtue is its own reward, but let's be brutally honest. No one remembers the martyrs unless there's a statue in it for them. History doesn't celebrate the pushovers. It immortalizes the conquerors, the strategists, the ones who understood that morality is a luxury the powerful afford themselves only after they've secured their position. Think about the men and women who shaped the world. Were they universally kind? Or were they decisive, uncompromising, and, when necessary, ruthless? You cling to this idea that fairness will protect you, but fairness is an illusion constructed by the strong to keep the weak in line. The moment you demand more, the moment you stop playing the role of the eternally forgiving saint, you'll be labeled difficult, arrogant, even dangerous. Why? Because the system depends on your compliance. So tell me, are you content being the background character in someone else's story? Or will you finally seize the pen and rewrite your own? Here's the uncomfortable truth no one wants to admit. People don't love the good guy. They pity him. They might praise his kindness in public, but in private, they dismiss him as weak, predictable, and ultimately irrelevant. You think your loyalty earns you respect? It earns you exploitation. You think your humility makes you admirable? It makes you invisible. The human mind is wired to respond to strength, not saintliness. We are primal creatures beneath the thin veneer of civilization, and deep down, we still operate on the same instincts that rewarded dominance and cunning for thousands of years. That's why the ruthless rise while the righteous rationalize their failures as moral victories. That's why the nice guy finishes last, not because the world is unjust, but because he refuses to play the game as it's meant to be played. You can cling to your ideals like a security blanket, or you can wake up and realize that power isn't about being cruel, it's about being conscious. The choice is yours: remain the pawn or become the player. Let's shatter another illusion. Goodness is not the same as weakness, but weakness is often mistaken for goodness. Society has conflated the two to keep you docile. Think about it. When someone is called too nice, what does that really mean? It means they lack the spine to set boundaries, the courage to say no, the will to prioritize themselves. And what happens? They become a magnet for users, manipulators, and energy vampires. You think you're being virtuous by never rocking the boat, but in reality, you're just making yourself an easy target. The predators of this world, whether in business, relationships, or social hierarchies, can smell compliance from a mile away. They don't prey on the strong. They prey on those who've been conditioned to believe that resistance is rude. So ask yourself, is your goodness really a moral choice, or is it just fear masquerading as virtue? Until you confront this, you'll remain stuck in a cycle of being taken for granted, then wondering why no one values you. You've been sold the lie that self-sacrifice is noble, but here's the raw truth. Sacrifice without strategy is self-destruction. Every time you put others first at the expense of your own ambitions, health, or sanity, you're not proving your worth, you're depleting it. The world's most influential figures didn't build empires by being selfless. They did it by being selfish in the right ways. They understood that you can't pour from an empty cup, that martyrdom doesn't change the world, leverage does. Meanwhile, the good guy exhausts himself trying to please everyone, only to realize too late that no one was keeping score. Look at nature. Even the most symbiotic relationships are transactional at their core. The bee doesn't pollinate flowers out of kindness. It does so for survival. Yet humans cling to this fantasy that unconditional generosity will somehow be rewarded. Wake up. If you don't value yourself, no one else will. And if you don't start demanding reciprocity, you'll spend your life as an unpaid emotional laborer in a world that exploits your goodwill. The most dangerous delusion of all? Believing that if you're just good enough, the universe will magically reward you. This is spiritual bypassing at its worst. A way to avoid the hard truth that life doesn't operate on karma, it operates on cause and effect. You can be the most morally upright person in the room and still get crushed by someone who understands power dynamics better than you. Look at history. The saints were canonized after they died in obscurity. The emperors ruled in real time. This isn't cynicism, it's pattern recognition. The universe is indifferent to your virtue. What it responds to is action, strategy, and the willingness to enforce consequences. You want a real spiritual principle? Energy flows where attention goes. If you're constantly pouring your energy into others while neglecting your own rise, you're not enlightened, you're complicit in your own stagnation. The path to true impact isn't through passive hope, but through disciplined focus on your own agency. Stop waiting for the world to recognize your goodness. Start recognizing that the world only bends to those who apply pressure. Let's talk about the cult of likability, that toxic belief that being universally loved is the ultimate achievement. Newsflash: if no one ever dislikes you, you don't stand for anything. The good guy obsesses over being inoffensive, but true respect isn't won by avoiding conflict. It's won by being willing to engage in it when necessary. Every iconic leader, artist, or innovator had enemies because they had the courage to polarize. Meanwhile, the people pleaser spends his life tiptoeing around opinions, terrified of disapproval, only to realize too late that blending in is the fastest way to be forgotten. Discomfort is the price of meaning. If your primary goal is to never rock the boat, you'll drown in the wake of those bold enough to sink it. The question isn't whether you'll be disliked, it's whether you'll be disliked for something that matters. Here's where the rubber meets the road. You've confused being good with being safe. You think if you follow the rules, keep your head down, and never demand more, you'll avoid pain. But life doesn't work that way. The universe doesn't reward obedience, it rewards audacity. Look at the most fulfilled people you know. Are they the ones who colored inside the lines their whole lives? Or are they the ones who took calculated risks, pissed off the right people, and refused to settle for the script they were handed? Safety is an illusion. You can spend your life minimizing risks and still get blindsided by tragedy, betrayal, or irrelevance. The only real security is self-mastery, the kind forged not in compliance, but in the willingness to confront, to disrupt, and to claim what's yours. So where do you go from here? This isn't a call to abandon ethics, it's a call to redefine strength on your own terms. The highest form of power isn't cruelty, It's unshakable sovereignty. It's knowing when to be kind and when to be ruthless, when to bend and when to break the rules. The good guy archetype is a prison because it demands you sacrifice agency for approval. But real integrity isn't about being harmless. It's about being intentional. It's about recognizing that the greatest good you can do for the world is to become someone capable of shaping it. So stop asking for permission. Stop equating suffering with virtue. Start building, strategizing, and demanding the life you're owed. The world doesn't need more martyrs. It needs more warriors who understand that true influence begins when you refuse to be ignored. The question is, are you ready to stop being good and start being powerful?